Hey guys, Max with Dive-Xtras here today to show you how to install new electronics in your X scooter. The kit comes with the new electronics, mounting hardware, crimps, and heat shrink. For a Sierra or a CUDA, you will need a 2.5 and a 3mm Allen key, along with wire strippers, crimpers, solder, soldering iron, and heat gun. For a CUDA, you will also need a 4mm Allen key. To prepare your electronics for installation, first mount them on the appropriate plate with the 4 M3x6 socket head cap screws using your 2.5mm Allen key. This is the Sierra plate. Today we'll be doing a CUDA plate. And you only need to go snug with these screws. You don't want to split the plastic mounting portion of the electronics. Once you have the electronics mounted to the plate, go ahead and strip the wires on the electronics and the motor approximately 1/2 inch. Once you have the wires stripped, you can feed the 3 pieces of heat shrink onto the wires of either component. It doesn't matter which. You just want to make sure that you have them on there before you crimp everything together. Then go ahead and crimp the splices to one component as well. I find it easiest if you crimp them onto the electronic side to start with rather than the motor side. Now that you've prepared your electronics, you're ready to connect them to the motor. This step will be made easier if you have something like an old coffee can or a small bucket to turn upside down and set the electronics on. Start by crimping the appropriate wires together. After crimping, we recommend that you go ahead and solder the connections as well to ensure solid electrical connection. We also recommend placing a piece of cardboard or something similar underneath the soldering area to ensure that no splatter gets onto the sealing surface of the scooter. Easiest way to do this is to simply heat the wire and the splice together and flow solder from both sides until you see the solder wick all the way through. Once this step is complete, go ahead and slide the heat shrink over each connection. and shrink it down with your heat gun. Now that you have your electronics all crimped and soldered together, it's time to remount them into the scooter. For the Sierra, that's simply a matter of mounting the new bracket into the same location as the old one on the side of the motor. For the CUDA, we'll just go ahead and replace that screw instead, and then we'll be mounting the electronics onto the top of the motor. To mount the CUDA bracket, go ahead and flip it over and bend these wires around as you need to install smoothly. Depending on the length, it will be a little bit different for each scooter. Then we have our 4 1-inch spacers along with our M5 by 35 socket head cap screws that we're going to install with our 4mm Allen key. It's generally easiest if you start with one corner and then work your way around so you don't have spacers and screws flying everywhere. Leave that a little bit loose while you get the other ones installed, and then we'll go back and tighten everything up. Depending on the generation of your motor, there's these other set of holes on the mounting plate as well that you can use depending on where the mounting holes are on the motor housing. Now that everything's together, go ahead and tighten it down. And now if you had a reed switch with a connector already on it, you can go ahead and just connect it to the electronics and you're ready to go. Otherwise, you can go ahead and install the reed switch that's included with the new electronics in place of the old one and connect it back together. You can see our other video on how to install your reed switch if you need to do that.